What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is having a great evening so far. I'm here with a very special guest, Ryan Pittman, Dirty Bird on Twitter. Go follow him, man. Great stuff on Canes football. Very knowledgeable individual. I'm also here with my co-host Ross, Caleb, Dade Made. He'll be coming on as well. But in the meantime, Ross, first thoughts of the beatdown to Florida State, 52-10. I think everyone was just ecstatic after the game, man. I mean, hell of an offensive performance. I don't think I've seen that in quite a while in ACC conference play. We see that against Bethune-Cookman and Savannah State, not against our rival.
All I can say is basically we whooped that ass, man. I mean, we literally took them to the tool shed, however the hell you want to say it, bro. I mean, any of those things you want to say, we did it to them, and we did it to them for 4 quarters. That's what pleased me. We didn't just do this. I mean, yeah, the first half there was a little more fireworks and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, second half, it's not like we just laid down and rolled over. We came back out. We were still doing our thing, still trying to push the ball. We weren't trying to just win by 35-3 or 35-7. We wanted to put up that 50 burger, and we did. And I mean, just Rhett Lashley, I freaking love you, man. Like, I freaking love you, dude. You are awesome, bro. You are Miami royalty already, basically, dude. And I don't even know if he knows it yet, but he's got this fan base so excited. And to watch his enthusiasm on the field after we would score, I mean, he was in there jumping with the players and stuff like that. He was actually celebrating with them. I mean, this is fantastic. We'll jump into this here. We'll just start off with kind of like that first quarter. I mean, things we saw from the jump. Was there anything as far as stuff that stood out to you, especially? I mean, Ryan, we saw a whole bunch of really cool shit, basically, is what we saw. I mean, a whole bunch of it. But what really stood out to you to start the game off for us, dude? Like, where did we really smack them in the mouth?
Ross, I mean, gosh, you just captured so many emotions. I think we all, we're just on fire. I'm sitting in the end zone and, kind of had a unique angle for the game. And, I mean, just right off the bat, I mean, we came in, we asserted our authority. One of the things that kind of stood out to me, I was listening to Manny postgame, and he had said that, they gave a completely different look defensively than what they were expecting, right? And even saw some chatter from Florida State on it, like they were going with a 3 down lineman versus 4, and he said it was completely it was completely unexpected. But the adjustments that they made in game that Rhett was making, that he played it right, and he saw what they were doing, and he was making the adjustments as they go. So that was music to all of our ears to kind of hear that and see it happen. And the thing with Rhett, the UAB game, I sat directly behind their bench, and like I was just enamored with Rhett and what he was doing, because in the Dan Eanes, we don't give him an O in his name, of course. I think we said that the last name, right? But as he was sitting behind as we were sitting behind the bench, Lashley was up in every position group, right? He's talking to every single player that's playing offense. He's talking to the position coaches, and I mean, this dude was fired up, right? So I knew we were going to get a guy that was going to put a lot of points on the board, and a guy that knew how to call plays. But I think he is the whole package.
Yeah,
this guy's going to be a head coach at some point or another. I think we just, we want to hold on to him as long as we can. But, just seeing his fire and his passion, and the way he's making adjustments, which, in the past 15 years, our OCs, they never make adjustments, right? And it's like, if we're getting beat, they just continue to get beat. But, this guy got a completely different look than what he got on tape. And when he got out there, he saw that look and he said, oh, okay, I see how this is going to go. All right, well, this is what we're going to do. So I was just really excited to see that. The other thing that I was really kind of thrown off by was the fact, Florida State had those first few plays scripted, and, they had Blackman and Travis in there together. And it's like, what are you guys trying to do? I mean, you're playing 2 bad QBs together. Like, just their whole approach and their whole strategy just they were rattled from the moment that they got into the game. I mean, even in the warm-ups, you'd see our guys, and I mean, they're walking onto the field and they're jumping and they're strutting, right? And the FSU guys were, they were kind of calmly walking out there and, kind of looking around like there was no energy, there was no swagger, there was no belief that they were going to come in and win the game. And, I mean, their problems run deep. I think we could probably go, we could probably go really far down the rabbit hole of what's wrong there, but just know that, it's more than just X's and O's and getting motivated. I mean, it's deep-rooted programs in that, or deep-rooted problems in that program, and they're very apparent right now.
Absolutely.
It says something that you picked up on it before the kickoff even happened. You were watching the demeanor of the players, and you picked up on it immediately, the difference between Miami and FSU. That says something, especially with a new head coach. You want to have that fire,
Right.
100%.
I think, offensively, touching up on Rhett Lashley, we saw a lot of teams in the SEC, LSU, Georgia. They didn't come out very well offensively. Texas, they put up like 66 points. I mean, their defense didn't carry the end of the bargain. But, man, I think Miami, it's up for debate. They're one of the best teams right now offensively in the nation. Clemson looks very good as well. This is a very well-prepared team for not having a spring practice at all, having just a short amount of 3 weeks to develop those relationships with your wide receivers. When I spoke with Randall Hill, when I interviewed him, he said that's key, is the relationship that your receivers have with your quarterback, and that will grow with more practices and throughout the season. So this offense, we're just seeing the beginning stages, guys. Like, this is how exciting it is. And the crazy thing is, like, De'Aaron King threw for 269 passing yards, but, like, he missed a wide open Brevin Jordan. Like, he missed a few passes. There were a couple drop passes that gets him over that 300-yard mark. And if we put De'Aaron King in the fourth quarter, we easily touch 60 as well. So,
Yep.
Man, it's going to be a bloodbath, I think, against Clemson. But, wow, man, hell of another week of a great offensive performance. Everybody was mad about Rhett Lashley week one about being vanilla. His offense is so dynamic. You really, every week is just a new surprise. It's a new experience. I'm just grateful he's our OC, man. We finally hit that home run at offensive coordinator we've been dying.
Yeah. And it feels in a lot of ways that we haven't even fully hit our stride. I sat with Brad at the game, and as we were walking out, I kind of looked at him. I said, "Hey, man," I said, I don't think we've seen our best. Like, we still see a lot of like mistakes happening out there. Like, but mistakes are going to happen, right? That's just part of the game, right? But there's going to be a couple games that come up pretty soon where we're going to be clicking on all cylinders, much like they did last year in that Louisville game, right? And not talking about this year's game, but the last year's Louisville game. Even that game, or that team, was able to click on all cylinders. So it's like, man, what happens when we walk out and we're feeling it and we're feeling ourselves, and that's really going to be scary, right?
Oh yeah, and I think we had 7 penalties in the first half. We cleaned those up. I mean, that's roughly 60 yards we gave up. So, I mean,
yep.
Hey, I mean, it could be really scary moving forward. I mean, Ross, do you think this is the best we've seen from our offense, or is it just going to get bigger and bigger?
I'm not even sure if Lashley's even opened up half of his playbook yet. In all honesty, I really don't think he has. I mean, even some of the stuff that we saw was a little different in this game was all based off of things he's previously done to set things up for, which I thought was just so. I mean, that first touchdown to Brevin over the middle. I mean, you couldn't have schemed it up more perfect than Lashley did. He saw what the linebackers were doing that whole time. Ran the ball, softened them up, drew him in, boom, Brevin wide open. I mean, I don't think that we have reached the heights at all. I think King is going to keep improving his accuracy with his downfield passes, which he started to look a lot better at in this game. I think that will give Lashley a lot more confidence to open up the offense in general. Heck, I don't even think we've seen even the most out of guys like Rooster and stuff in the run game. There's going to be run design plays for them that we haven't seen yet. And to hold that back and not have to reveal all that before Clemson, to me, was a big deal. We were able to do this pretty easily and not give away too much.
Ryan, I'll add to what you're going to say after I answer you this question. Are we ready for Clemson?
I think so, right? I mean, I think we're as absolutely ready as we can be. And to me, this game is the true barometer of where we're at, right? Because even though we're getting a ton of national love, I mean, Kirk Herbstreit just said, "Hey, based on what I've seen in the and I love Herbstreit. I respect his opinions and his views, even though he's an Ohio State guy, but the guy's pretty unbiased in his views. But he said, based on what I've seen, these are the best 4 programs. And I think it was Clemson, Bama, Florida, and Miami. And I'm like, what's going through my head is like, oh my gosh, are we on a collision course with UF? Like, please, 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 I want nothing more than to meet them in a bowl game or, dare I say the CFP, but I think Clemson's beatable. I think anybody's beatable, right? It's going to take a combination of us, bringing our A game, right? Like really being on it and having that, kind of lightning in a bottle game that we're like, oh my gosh, what did we just see?
Right.
It's going to take a combination of them being, not having their greatest night. It's going to take a little bit of luck, and it's just going to take a lot of confidence going into it. And if we can kind of bottle all that stuff up and put everything together, then I really feel that that we can leave there with the W, right? And I mean, really this is the only barometer, because I mean, like I said, we're getting all this love in the national media and everything, but until we really prove it against another program where we know where we're at. I mean, we know FSU is a dumpster fire, right? We know UAB is a respectable program. We know Louisville is a really, really good offense with a really, really bad defense. So, until we play against a program like Clemson, which is, the gold standard right now, we're not going to know. But I just know one thing: we need to walk in there respectful of them as the opponent, but also walk in there confident and know that, look, these guys can be beat. And everything that we've seen shows that, we have the ability to beat them.
Yeah, no, they were, speaking of playing in Death Valley, NC State had them to the wire. If you follow NC State at all in sports, they tend to mess up every game, every big game they're a part of. So, of course, they missed a chip shot field goal to take the lead. Game goes to overtime. Clemson wins, but they've lost to Pittsburgh, I believe. They've lost to Syracuse. Dino Babers like the hottest coach in America after that win, and it's just gone downhill from there. So Clemson is very beatable. We saw LSU completely shut down their offense in the second half. I don't think Trevor Lawrence made a good pass until the fourth quarter. So, they are very beatable, and it'll be an interesting game. Caleb has just joined us. Caleb, thank you for joining us, man. First thoughts on the beatdown of Florida State.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I had a good feeling going into the game that it was going to be a beatdown. But having a good feeling and it actually happening is two different things. So I'm really proud of how the team played. I think they went in there and they took care of business. Look, when you're better than somebody, you got to impose your will and you got to beat them down. And that's exactly what we did. I mean, I felt like at the beginning of the second half, the defense kind of let up a little bit. But I'm not going to lie, they got away with quite a few, holds that weren't called. But regardless, I mean, I feel like the only negative was Mark Pope's fumble on the punt. Maybe, this is the second time. Maybe we should think about putting someone else back there. But other than that, I mean, I feel like it was an A-plus performance by the whole team all around.
Is Ross, do you think, I mean, what's going on between special teams, whoever has the call there, if it's Manny Diaz, Coach Packey, why are we investing so much time into Mark Pope? To put him in the offense. I see the potential on punt return. I do. He has explosiveness. I see it. But, man, 2 muff punts. You cannot win against Clemson with those mistakes. Drop passes, hitting you in the chest, literally in the numbers against Louisville. It's unacceptable. This is a junior. Who do you think would you like to see step up? Or, do you still believe in Mark Pope?
Well, I think the you hit the reasoning on it already with the word potential. My guess is that it's potential that's keeping him in. They're seeing something at practice that's obviously got them intrigued. I'll tell you what, I mean, I know it wasn't like a big scene or no one made a big deal about it, but late in that game, watching Xavier Restrepo pick up that punt real slick like on the hop and take it straight forward, to have the balls to do that as a true freshman and to have the talent to do it,
right,
just kind of makes me think, okay, I mean, if they reel Pope out there one more time, I'm not going to lose my mind. But if he loses a fumble, he can't ever be doing. He just can't do it again. I will let them. Yeah, I'll let him do it one more time. Pope has one more shot with this, in my opinion. But other than that, man, it's a mental thing for him completely right now. We know he has the physical talent. We've seen it. The potential, like you said, it's there. But heck, man, if guys like Restrepo are starting to show stuff too, I'm more than happy to give them a shot.
Ryan,
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been the one guy where every time he's back there, you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and we all have, who could be back there to do it. I think he's done I believe his fumbles have only came on punts, so he's actually done a pretty decent job with the kick returns. I think the guys flying down the field at him are maybe throwing him off a little bit, but we definitely have to get that shored up because that's the one part that we look at that like makes you kind of cringe and draw back a little bit and say but other than that, special teams have been amazing. I mean Jose and Lou. I mean heck. Lou didn't even make it into the game, and their backup punter, I was blown away by that. I mean, North, you were asking about the kind of the stats that were amazing and everything, but when Manny was in his post-game press conference, he was talking about that we were 13 of, and don't hold me to these numbers, but I think it was 13 of 18 on third downs, and then we were 4 for 5 on fourth downs, where it was just like, oh my gosh, we were what? And I mean, think about, we had the worst offense or the worst third down offense in the nation last year, right? So I mean, just seeing the complete 180 turnaround has just been an amazing thing to be a part of through 3 games.
I'll tell you one thing that I know, Brett Venables with Clemson coming up, he's a cool, calm, collected cat. We know that. I mean, that dude, he knows what he's doing, but even he has to be a little on edge about how good we did on third and fourth down, with the fact that Lashley can get us in position on first and second to make those plays happen a lot more than last year. Yeah. Any defensive coordinator isn't going to be too happy having to deal with King as a dual threat on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, having to wonder what the hell Lashley's going to dial up.
Yep.
One thing I noticed, we gave away a lot of chunk plays. There were about 9 or 10 rushes where we gave away 10 yards or more. That's something as well we got to fix before Clemson, because that was a big margin. How do you guys feel about the defense after Florida State's performance and so far in this season as well? Caleb, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be honest. I give it, a solid B to a B minus. I mean, I feel like the defensive line has definitely, lived up to our expectations. Even though a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Phillips hasn't gotten a lot of sacks. I think he's actually been really good against the run at setting the edge. I think he's been good. He's had a ton of pressures. He's been like right there, like a millisecond away from a sack, and they've thrown it away at the last second. So I think Roche's done good. He's messed up a few times, especially in the Louisville game. He overran some plays. But I think for the most part, I'm really happy. Cam Williams has looked good. Harrison Hunt has looked great. Nesta, I feel like, has taken that leap that everybody wanted to see. And I feel like he's playing at an elite level right now. And if it continues to be like that, I feel like we're going to be straight. I mean, linebackers, I'm going to be honest, we're kind of limited with what we got back there. Jennings, he's okay. But if you look at Pro Football Focus, he was rated our lowest rated player in the Florida State game. I think they gave him like a 34. Like, that's pretty bad. And honestly, if it was up to me, I would want to see Sam Brooks and, hey, you know what? I know Huff hasn't played that much, but look, I mean, I would honestly want to get him more snaps. To be honest with you, he's looked great on special teams. Why don't you put him out there? You feel me? I mean, of course they're going to play McLeod a lot because that's a given. But I feel like, as we continue getting further and further in the season, I would like to see Avery Huff play a lot more. I'm really happy with Gilbert. I think he played his best game as a Hurricane in the Florida State game. I think he led us in tackles. He had like 12 or 13. He had 4 tackles for loss. He played amazing. I think him and Smith is a great combo. At corner, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've been one that's been really critical of DJ Ivey, but I gotta give credit where credit is due, and he's definitely stepped it up since that UAB game, and he completely locked down Tamori and Terry to the effect that he was going crazy on the sidelines with Ron Dugans. I don't know if y'all noticed.
Oh yes, he ended the guy's career, man.
Yeah, dude,
like he ended his college career. There's all that talk that Terry's opting out the rest of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, let me tell you, I think that the defense is gonna get better, but honestly, we really can't say much because the biggest test of the year is next week. I think depending on how they play next week, will determine the rest of our season. And the way I say that is because I feel like even if we don't win, if we can hang with them and the defense, shows some, they show some heart and they, do the best that they can and we keep it competitive or even pull off a win, I think that'll give us the confidence to run the table the rest of the year. But that's just the way I see it.
I'm with you 100% on that, right? I think, I believe, the defensive line play has been elite, right? And that's probably the most important position to be elite, right? To keep pressure and to create havoc and everything and to create negative plays and everything. So that's been refreshing. Linebackers, right? We're slow there, right? And I think that shows in those PFF rankings. Zach did make some great plays though. But again, we don't have a ton of speed at that linebacker position. Was really proud of the way that both Blades and Ivy played. I mean, Ivy, that guy was getting destroyed on Twitter and everything. And he really bounced back. And to Corey Couch, well, he hasn't been perfect back there. He's made some really, really good plays. And Bubba Bolden is, that guy's unreal. All-American. Without question. That guy's gonna, that guy's got gonna really be holding some hardware at the end of the year, in some way, shape, or form. Think the world of him and the job that he's doing out there. I think it really hurts though. Also, the targeting on Gervin Hall. That's really the only loss that we had in that game because he's going to be out for the first half of the Clemson game, which that kind of alters the way that we rotate and we keep fresh people in there on defense. But overall, liked what I saw. But again, that team that we played against was in shambles. So it's not. I don't think it's indicative of what we're going to see in Clemson. Right? We're not going to see them play that well. We just hope that they can elevate their game and respond in the right way.
That tip that Bubba Bolden had in the end zone that led to the interception. I'm seeing a guy who's making NFL caliber plays, and there's no doubt in my mind that Bolden's going to be playing on Sundays after watching him now. This kid, he has it. Whatever it is, he has it, and we have needed that at the safety position, somebody that just roams over the top and just causes havoc. Even seeing Bolden come in on that blitz was beautiful. It was beautiful when they loaded up that whole side.
Mm-hmm.
That secondary in general, definitely played better. We got to be a whole notch above whatever the hell we've been doing though if we're going against Clemson, and we're all pretty much aware of that right now.
Yep.
But if we can have Bolden make that kind of an impact game to game, it's going to allow the rest of our secondary to keep playing better, I think. As long as it kind of reminds me of Earl Thomas when he was in Seattle. You got this madman over the top that can do a little bit of everything. And it just kind of opens things up a little more for everybody else to feel a little confident, to feel like, okay, I might not jump this route normally, but with Bubba Bolden behind me, I'm going to take that shot. And I'm okay with that right now. I want to see that.
Yep.
How big of a game? Let's say, we beat Clemson, we lose to Clemson. I know if we beat Clemson, it's going to be huge. But, like Caleb was saying, if we lose to Clemson, it could really impact the rest of the season. Is this really like a Super Bowl type game for Miami, or is this more of just like, let's see how we do, let's see how we win? Because, this is going to be the fourth game in the year. We still got 7 more games to play. We got Pittsburgh, we got UNC. We got a lot of Virginia Tech. A loss to Clemson is going to put us in a very tough spot to get to the ACC title game. And I think Miami can easily make it to the ACC title game. I just don't think 2 losses get you in. So how important is this game, guys?
For me, I think this is the biggest, game that we've had since the last time we played them in the ACC title. This is the type of game that if you can go in there, look, nobody's going to expect us to win, No, that's a given. I think if we go in there and we can, just play to the best of our abilities, you don't have to do anything extra. You just have to play your game and play to the highest level. And I feel like we'll have as good a chance as anybody. Obviously it's going to be difficult, but I really feel like if the team goes in there and believes in themselves because one of the things against Clemson is a lot of times people just get, they get beat up because they don't know and they don't believe that they can actually win. If you go in there with the confidence that, hey, you know what, any team can get beaten, then I feel like we have a good chance. And I think this is the type of game that could, elevate us to having, hey, look, you win this game, you got a chance to make it to the college football playoff. That's kind of, thinking ahead. But if you think about it, if you can beat Clemson, you could beat the rest of the teams on your schedule. Clemson's better than everybody else on the schedule. You feel me? So I feel like if we win this game, we could really have, a special year.
Absolutely, Caleb. I think the same, right? I think this game is a measuring stick, right? And it really is going to kind of dictate the way the rest of the thing, the rest of the season is going to go. Let's run through the scenario if we do win, right? Which, I think is a possibility, right? That's a winnable game, right? It's not like when we walked into that ACC championship game in 2017 and we knew, right? Like deep down, we knew, right? We knew there was no way. But we were able to win this game, right? What scares me is the next game, right? Because I think Pittsburgh is criminally underrated right now. If you've watched any of what they've been doing out there, that kid Kenny Pickett is the truth, throwing it out there, and nobody talks about him. But you watch his tape, and he is slinging it, and he's got a lot of guys, and that defense is tough, right? So I worry if we do win, what happens the following week when we got to come home and play Pittsburgh, right? But also we win. We got to think about is Notre Dame's our best friend going forward, right? And we need to root for them to win out, because one thing is for sure, we do pull off the unthinkable and we beat Clemson. I damn sure don't want to see them with the orange pants in the ACC championship game. So we need to be the biggest Notre Dame fans ever, right? Because we want to play Notre Dame in that game. But if we lose, right, I think, that's kind of obviously the other scenario here, but, how do we look, right? Did we hang with them, right? Did we at least, escape, Clemson, South Carolina with, the belief that they can be beat, that if we just make a couple of adjustments and we do something a little bit different, if we meet these guys 2 months down the road, that we're going to be able to knock them off, right? And that's where it's really important. So, we win that. We learn a little bit about ourselves. We learn how we need that we're not just there yet. We need a little bit more. I think that can be a successful scenario too, because you learn a little bit about yourself. Sometimes it's okay to take a loss, right? We're probably going to take one at some point during the year, right? It's just, where does it happen, right? And if it's to the number one team in the nation and we play respectable, and it's a game in the fourth quarter, or if it comes down to a last second play, God forbid, I'm okay with that, right? As long as we take it, we learn from it, and we win the rest of them, right? Because I think, everybody keeps talking about North Carolina, but that's the last game of the year. And, I think by that time, who's to say what's going to happen, right? Maybe we've taken a couple of unexpected losses. Maybe they have. Chances are both of us being in the picture at that point, chances are pretty slim of that. So it's the most important game of the season. Sorry, go ahead, Ross.
I truly, and I'm not going to go like way, way, way back, but talking about the last 5 years of Miami Hurricane football, the last 5 years of Clemson football, year per year, player per player, stat for stat, we haven't had a better chance to beat them until right now, in my opinion. This is the Miami team that has that capability with the leadership at quarterback, the explosive offense, the defense, still hungry, still developing their way, but can still definitely make plays and still keep people out of the end zone. We saw. I don't think that there's a better time for us. I don't think there ever has been a better time, especially within this last 5-year frame that I'm talking about. We take advantage of this game, and it opens up a world of recruiting. It opens up a world of swagger. It opens up the door for so many different things for us. Kids who might not even think about Miami normally, if they see us take it 4 quarters with Clemson and somehow beat that team, we're going to garner some interest from some more of these, high 4 or 5-star type kids. It's just the way it is. You win big, you get better players. And I just really don't think that we could truly ask for a better time than right now. And Clemson at the same time with them, not just what we have going on, but Clemson themselves has more question marks this year than they've had the last 5 years, in my opinion, as well. So, you either take advantage of things or you don't. And we have a chance to take advantage, and I hope we do so.
Yeah, no,
You know, Ross, sorry, Paul, just real quick.
yeah, go
The
ahead.
question marks are the same places we have them, wide receiver and DB, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, the kind of the thing where it's like, you know, that's why I believe they can be beat. But sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Frank Ladson can play, though. Frank Ladson can
He
play.
can.
Yeah.
He can.
South Dade Senior High School too. DJ Ivy was his teammate. So
Yep.
let that. That's another local guy going to out of state school. So you know, since we were talking about recruiting and everything, and you know, Frank Latson's a perfect example. I mean, talk about the impact in recruiting, guys. You beat Clemson. The media drools over Miami. Like they just want. They always say the U is back. The U is back. Anytime they get the chance to. This is so big if we beat Clemson. They might even put us probably number 1, number 2, number 3. I mean, who do you think is back in play? I know we saw Amari Daniels got a crystal ball from Ivans. Terrence Lewis, there's been, you know, kind of some talk about him. Miami opening that relationship back up. They spoke with his father. You know, the Jake Garcia and Valdosta, Georgia, I think the ship has sailed. It's going to University of Southern California, in my opinion. He wants to come to Miami. Why didn't you just commit already? I mean, you sound like a Mark Rick silent recruit at this point. You know, it's not working out. It's not happening. So who do you think, you know, we can land with all this momentum? Because Miami right now, they're aware of what's going on with this offense. They're aware of the beatdown we just gave Florida State, an in-state rival. So where does this lead us moving forward? I mean, I think we're in a very good position to land a lot of good players.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one if you guys don't mind. So, you know, I think there's a number of people that are still in play, right? T. Right? I think he's in play. You know, there's been whispers about some character concerns and everything. I think the kid wants to be here. I think if we green light him and say, hey, we're gonna take your commitment, he's gonna flip to us in an instant, right? But I think the coaching staff is really trying to make sure that they don't get burned with character concerns, right? You know, there's been some rumors of stuff that's going to happen, and I'm not going to, you know, he's a high school kid. I'm not going to get up here and slander, you know, what I've heard about him, right? You know, but there's some stuff that really makes you kind of want to make sure that, you know, that this is the right character that you're bringing into the program, right? So I think, you know, if we green light him, he's in, right? And I mean, the kid is an absolute freak on tape. Would love to have him in this class, right? Markevius Brown, I think, is still another guy that's in play for us as well. You know, just got to kind of see what's going on in there. Amari Daniels, right? Obviously in play. Just got crystal balled by Ivans to you know, to drop to us, but it was only a confidence score of 2 in it though. You know, but I mean, could you you know, we were on a Zoom call earlier talking gains, and somebody said, man, he's like, you know, Franklin and Daniels are exactly like Cheney and Knighton were last year for us. So if we can add that back in again next year, I mean, it's scary to think what could happen there. You know, there's rumors Marcus Tate's still really interested, and I think the more that we continue to win, the more that's going to kind of draw him into the play. Tariq Sapp, you know, another guy who's still kind of hanging around. You know, the Jake Garcia thing, right? You know, Paul, I know you're all like, hey, look, if he hasn't done it, he hasn't done it. I think with Jake, I think, you know, he's probably hasn't made his final decision yet, and he's probably just saying, you know, hey, if I'm flipping to Miami, it's final, right? And he probably wants to see, you know, what's happening, right? And what does the offense look like? You know, what does the team look like? You know, yeah, they're hot right now. Are they able to hold it? And he knows he doesn't have to make that decision until the end. You know, I guarantee all this stuff with the Pac-12 and the way that they've handled the pandemic is you know, is weighing on him, right? Because he knows, hey, look, I can go. I just moved clear across the country to be able to play, so I definitely want to play. You know, what happens if I go back home and you know, and I can't play, right? So we already know that he's not scared with the move, right? You know, there was all that stuff where, you know, he and, you know, his mom and dad got a divorce to you know, they legally separated to be able to get him to play. I mean, this kid wants to play, and he's going to do whatever it takes to do it. But I just think he's going to make one decision, and it's going to be final. And I think you know, for it to be moving to us, you know, he's got to see us put it down on paper, you know. And then the other big piece of this also is, what is the NCAA restrictions look like on how many people we can offer? You know, right now we're thinking 24, so there's 2 spots, you know, and who do they go to? But that opens up, and I think you're going to see probably 3 or 4 more big names drop, and gets really interesting. So
There's one guy, and normally and you'll hear me speak about this stuff in the past. Normally, I identify the trenches, and it's the first thing I go through, and it's the first thing I speak about. But there is one player out there. We don't have him right now, and I want him, and I hope if we can beat Clemson that Jason Marshall will give us the time of day and maybe think about coming to Miami. That is the guy I want. We need him. Rumpf needs him. The secondary needs him. Land that elite local CB and get those kids in the 21, 22 class, or even further beyond, start going, okay, Jason Marshall's interested in Miami. I need to take a look at him. Marshall is the guy I got my eye on right now if we can beat Clemson.
Can't believe I didn't mention him, but you're spot on there, North. Marshall would be an amazing addition, but another guy who I think we really just have to prove it to. Like, he's not going to come here if we go in and we get beat 38-3, like the last score against Clemson. That's going to shut him down, and we can forget about that. But we play really, really well, or we beat them. And, we roll off, a 1-2 loss season with some really impressive play, guys in play.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go a little bit off the board and mention someone that nobody has mentioned. So if we have an elite year, I'm talking we go undefeated, ACC title game, beat Clemson. Someone we haven't talked about is Mason Smith, the defensive tackle out of Louisiana. Now, for me, I know that's kind of a long shot. People are going to be like, oh, well, he's an LSU log. He's an SEC log. LSU and Georgia are his probably top two teams. And look, I mean, everything they're saying is true, but LSU is going to be dog food this year. I don't know if y'all saw them against Mississippi State, but
yeah,
that's the first of quite a few losses, in my opinion. And Georgia, I mean, their offense looks pretty bad. I mean, their defense looks good, but, I mean, they went against Arkansas. So, yeah, that might be one of the worst teams in the Power Five, so I don't think that really says much. I think if we have an elite year, we're going to have a chance at a guy like that. And, I mean, imagine pairing him with Taylor. I mean, honestly, that would probably be, the best two defensive line recruits we've gotten in more than a decade. That is how you start building depth and how you start, bringing back people that are like, you know what, they're so good, they're 3 and out. They're here for 3 years, and then they go in the first round in the NFL. And, I mean, I know it's going to be tough, but he did say in an interview that our defensive scheme is his favorite out of all of his top schools. So we'll see what happens there. When it comes to Jason Marshall, I'm going to be honest with you, North. I don't see it. He's really close with C.J. Henderson. And honestly, I don't see it. But, hey, if we do have a great year, anything can happen. I'm wrong on that. Honestly, the QB that I'm not even looking at Garcia anymore. The QB for me that we should be looking for is Demetrius Davis from Texas. I think he was Corey Flagg's teammate at North Shore. And he's committed to Auburn right now. But let me tell you, that kid is a stud. And he's close. I believe that he's close with De'Ara King. I might be wrong about that, but I think they do know each other. And I think, you know what? He is literally like his comp on 247 is De'Ara King. So if I'm Brett Lashley, I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, I mean, you see what King's doing. Imagine what I could do, if I get you here. So I think that's definitely the QB that we should go after. And I kind of agree with Paul. I just think the Garcia thing, I mean, if he wanted to come, he could have came already. And, that's kind of the way I feel about that. But those are the two guys I'm really looking at.
I'm not too worried about landing a quarterback because, like, what quarterback after seeing this offense doesn't want to come? I mean, it's pretty evident it's going to be successful, especially under Brett Lashley. So, I mean, I think we're going to be fine at quarterback. If not, we'll just go to the transfer portal, get a veteran guy. It worked very well for Mississippi State. I mean, KJ Costello just comes from Stanford, puts up 600 yards against the defending national titles under Mike Leach. I mean, it's not even video game numbers. Like,
Unreal.
So I'm not worried about, the quarterback position. We'll get it right. It's just pretty exciting, the 180 turn we've had from the end of last year to now. And, the future is really bright at Miami. We're 8th right now in recruiting rankings on 247 Sports. We can probably crack the top 5, man, if we keep up this season. So I'm really excited.
Absolutely. You know, you guys mentioned quarterback play, and I do want to just throw something in here, right? But, I mean, how impressed have you guys been with Nkosi Perry, right? Like, this kid, right, had, you know, his first 2 years. I mean, you know, all we were like, oh, maturity issues, whatnot. You know, and we're kind of like, he's not the guy, but he beat Florida State in that one game that we're like, oh my gosh, we love you. You know, but I mean, you know, then he got kind of in that carousel that was crazy that year with we didn't know who was starting from game to game. You know, with Rick and everything, you know, but this kid has done nothing really over the past probably 18 months. But yeah, I think Brett Lashley was the only person he followed on Twitter. You know, he's kept his nose clean. He's been in the playbook. You know, he's King's biggest supporter on the sidelines. I felt really good seeing him get in there and you know, sling just a beautiful pass out to God, I can't remember who caught his touchdown.
Michael Redding.
Redding, yes. You know, beautiful throw from him. But you know, I'm really happy for Kosi, and I think his head's in the right place. You know, and I'm really excited whether it's you know, maybe King comes back next year, maybe he doesn't. But you know, I'm really excited at the quarterback position just to see what Kosi has, and you know, TVD behind him. I mean, you know, that kid was you know, we were watching in warm-ups. We were right in the end zone where they were warming up, and you know, I mean, he's got an arm on him, and that guy is enormous, man. I mean, he looks like a lineman out there playing quarterback for us. And I mean, the kid's a true freshman. So, you know, the more he's on that David Feely diet, you know, he's just going to be better and better and better over the next couple of years. So, you know, look, if there's ever a year to miss a quarterback, I know the golden rule is you take one every single year, but if there's ever a year where you can look at it and say, well, maybe we'll be okay, right? I mean, this is obviously the year because we're pretty stacked there.
One thing that I will add is that recruiting wise, I think having a fantastic year this year will impact a little bit more for the 2022 class. Because in South Florida, the 2022 class is stacked. I mean, I think there's 30 people in the top 100 for next year's class. And I think 15 or 16 of them are in Dade and Broward County. So that goes to show you, you know, how stacked it is. And I think we're going to get the pick of the litter if we end up doing what I hope we end up doing. We're going to, you know, be able to pick and choose whoever we want for next year's class.
Shamar Stewart.
Oh, man.
Oof.
Number one player in the nation, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take us much hype to get things going. I mean, we look at our class already off of last year's, you know, team. I mean, we just did the whole off-season hype thing again and ran it back and repeated it and got some really damn good players out of it. And hell, if we win, oh my God, it makes everybody's job on the staff that much easier when they walk into a recruit's house. Oh, did you see the Clemson game? Oh yeah, by the way, that's where you can come play for us now because we're going to be doing that yearly, hopefully.
Yeah, not only do we have 22 guys locked in, but we have 22 guys. I mean, I think almost everybody has shut it down at this point as well. You know, during the FSU game, just kind of the way things worked out. I sat with Andy Borgels, and I'm going to tell you right now, that kid is locked in. And people that he knows and he's talked to in the class, like, you know, they are locked into, right? So, you know, it's just really refreshing to hear. I mean, I don't really think that there's anybody that's in this class right now that's a flip candidate,
Right?
You know, or even a drop candidate for us. I mean, even, you know, everybody's like looking at Malik Curtis, and he's not the flashiest name, but you look at that kid's tape, and I mean, that kid is flying on kick returns out there. So, you know, look, we can always use speed, and you know, I'm like, I don't even want to drop him, right? So it's a good problem to have.
Do we think about Malik Curtis on offense occasionally? I mean, I've been watching him. This kid's explosive. When you got a playmaker, you put the ball in their hands. I mean, it's just what you do. I'd hate to limit him. You think we could work that in or what?
No, I definitely agree with you. I mean, he's been looking great this season. I know he had a tough game. I don't know, was he going against Chaminade, or I think he was. I might be wrong about that, but I think he was going against Chaminade, and they kind of locked him down a little bit. But even Thad Franklin said after the game he was the only guy on their team that they were concentrated on. Nobody else, you know, was a threat to them. So I mean, that goes to show you how they had to game plan, you know, specifically for him. I mean, honestly, I don't know who we would drop. I think the only person that is worth monitoring right now is Savion Collins. And that's only because I don't know if we would keep him if, let's say we have a great year and someone like Mason Smith says, hey, I want to join the class. Because then you got to think about it. Because we have him, Taylor, and Alan Hay. Honestly, I know Savion's rated higher than him, but I think Alan Hay is a better player. I think he has a higher upside. He's only played football for 3 years. He has a better motor. And honestly, if push comes to shove, I would probably choose Alan Hay over him. But I mean, that's a problem for another day, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
There's a guy in the 2022 class, and this is for you guys on top of it, and all the Canes fans watching this. If you haven't gone to see defensive end Jamal Johnson play yet, go watch him play. We have got a future stud on the end in the 2022 class right there. He's causing havoc.
Love it.
Paul Johnson, he's really mature too. I interviewed him actually. He's a really mature kid, and he actually is into poetry and stuff. So a lot of the kids I've noticed too, like we're recruiting, are very mature.
Good.
Their age. Seems like we're trying to get that certain academic profile down. They care about academics and athletics as well. So far, just speaking with the small sample of recruits I have spoken with, done interviews with. So. Very well-spoken individuals who are very mature. So that's definitely something great to see.
It's awesome, man.
I'll take it, man. I mean, we need IQ and talent is what we need on the field. You're not going to win with just raw talent. We need both of them. And with a bright mind like Lashley, a defensive guy who's aggressive as Baker is and likes to drop schemes and stuff and different blitzes, you add in a good IQ with a top-shelf athlete, it's only going to make us better.
So Ross, can I?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, can I ask Ross a quick question, Ross? And I know you're a huge Seahawks fan as well, man. How's our boy DJ doing out there?
He's not getting much playing time yet. Pete Carroll loves him, man. The team loves him. He's young. He's working his way up right now. But if Chris Carson stays out for a little bit, I expect Penny to get him, or not Penny, but DJ Dallas to get himself around that 3 to 5 carries possibly per game. And I also expect to start seeing him more in the kick return game as well, because he's just been steady for him in that regard. They don't want to put Lockett back there anymore. Who would,
Love it.
I mean, one thing I'm going to say is, look, I mean, Chaminade is kind of a pipeline school, and they have a few more studs. I mean, I can't pronounce his name correctly, but Jackson, he's like the 3rd-ranked defensive end in the country for the
Kenyatta.
Yeah. He's a beast. I'm not trying to, jinx anything, but there's a realistic chance that we can end up with Shamar Stewart, Marvin Jones Jr., Jackson, and Dante Anderson, who goes to Homestead. He's a stud as well. I mean, for me, look, honestly, I would load up next class at the defensive end and defensive tackle position, because down here in South Florida, it's probably the best defensive line group in a few years.
What a time to start winning, boys. Honestly, I mean, I swear this couldn't happen any more perfect. What a time to start winning.
It was getting to a point where, like, was Miami just cursed as a program? I mean, shit. We threw Randy Shannon, Al Golden, Mark Richt. Then we hired Manny Diaz. The first year was awful. Dan Enos supposed to be our savior from Alabama. He was literally the worst thing that's probably happened to the program since D'Onofrio. Then we basically go all in with Rhett Lashley. I mean, literally all in. Like, even Manny, like, this is it. 2020, all in. De'Ara King, like, transfer portal, let's go. It's worked out great. Now, the thing is I truly think the magic thing is to keep Rhett Lashley. Or if not, try to give him a raise, give him bonuses, anything, maybe name him assistant head coach in waiting, something. I don't know. But another thing is a lot of people have been saying, hey, keep it in-house. I say go aggressive, man. Go get the best again. Go get the other Royals finalists. That's my opinion. But I'm just grateful for Rhett Lashley and the time we have for him, and I'm just going to enjoy it for however long it is. I'm just interested what Manny Diaz does next, because he does have a vision. He's very futuristic. He's done a lot of moves that a lot of people follow in all of college football, like the transfer portal, for example, the turnover chain. He does have a lot of bright ideas. So I'm interested what Manny Diaz does moving forward with Rhett Lashley.
You know what I think works in our favor with this whole Lashley situation is I don't think there's going to be a lot of jobs that are open, right? Or at least not attractive jobs that are open because, half these, Pac-12, Big Ten, right? They're not coming online until much later. It's a completely different set of circumstances this year. Programs are really going to be strapped for cash. So I can't imagine a lot of them buying these guys out, right? This is going to be a different offseason, right? So it's almost going to be, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, because the NFL could always still come calling for him, just like they did with Joe Brady, right? But I think the chances of us being able to hold on to the guy are good. But look, if he doesn't, right, you got two guys that have called plays behind him that are really showing up in their own right, in Justice and Likens. So I'm with it, man.
I mean, this is going to kind of come out of the blue, but if Rhett Lashley, God forbid, did get a job for an NFL team, I think that the one guy we would have to go for, I think, would be David Yost from Texas Tech. Yeah. My goodness, their offense looks insane, and they don't even have that much talent, to be honest with you. So if there was one guy, I would definitely go for. I like Likens. I like Justice. But, hey, like Paul said, you go get the best, and I think David Yost would be, a great, replacement if Rhett did leave.
Philip Longo from UNC, their OC, I think he's an outstanding offensive coordinator. What he did at Ole Miss under Hugh Freeze as well, man, tremendous job. That's another name I've been following a lot because, Sam Howell as a freshman just put up stupid numbers. I'm curious how their offense will go. Will it, keep rising, keep trending upward, man? Done a tremendous job so far, but we really hit the jackpot with Rhett Lashley. So I hope we pay him like $5 million a year. I don't care. Pay him more than Manny B. Anything. Just keep him here.
Hey, give him a blank check. See, like, look, how many zeros I gotta add to this?
What
we gotta do,
man? For real.
If we beat Clemson, do we rightfully have to be concerned that he will be getting tried or at least attempted to get poached by the end of the season for a head coaching gig? It will be that fast.
Without question.
Here's my thing. What is his kind of, for a head coaching position? Is Temple the job he goes for? Or does he have what's his standard to be the next head coach? Because Manny Diaz, in a sense, was a very good defensive coordinator. He jumped to Temple. It's Temple. It's not Temple basketball. It's Temple football. So what's Rhett Lashley's standard? Also, Alabama, LSU, these big-time schools, they can match Miami. They can go toe-to-toe with Miami. Until Miami's like, hey, I don't think we can match that.
I don't think that Lashley's last two stops, we got to remember here, he's been in Texas, and now he chose to come to Miami. He's been in hotbeds of recruiting with nothing but talent around him. I think that he would like to position himself to be a coach in a hotbed area like that. I don't think he wants to go up to the northeast corner or South Dakota State or anything like that. I think he wants to end up, even if it's like a Texas Christian or something like that, he's still right there in a hotbed. I think that's where he'd honestly prefer to be at. I think that's his mentality.
Mid-level Power 5 to me, right? So not, I don't think he'd leave for like an Illinois job or something, but, somebody like a South Carolina in the SEC or, Arizona, somebody who's like at that mid-level kind of Power 5, I think would be enough to sway him. I don't think that any of the big guns would come calling him, like the ones, like a Florida State and Ohio State and Oregon. If any of those jobs ever come, I think that job's probably too big for a first-time head coach. But any of the mid-level Power 5s, I think he's gone.
The way I see it is, I agree. I think, it really depends on the job. I personally think that he wouldn't leave for like a school like Arizona. No offense to Arizona, but, they're not going to win anything anytime soon. I feel like he would go to a school where, you at least would have some potential. Like TCU was good a few years ago. You could build something there, but I don't think he would leave, for some scrub school. No offense to any of those schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of guy he is, though. Lashley is a in-your-face, highly motivated type of guy. He's not going to want to go somewhere that has a subpar culture or a subpar recruiting setup or anything. Lashley's going to want to go in there. He's going to want to do the best he possibly can from the minute he walks in that door. And if someone's going to offer him, they need to offer him something steady, and they need to show him something, because he's not just going to leave Miami for nothing, I don't think.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. That's why, I mean, when we first hired him, I felt like we would have him for at least 3 years. And even if we're great this year, I still think there's a decent chance that we could keep him for another 2 years. But that's just, probably wishful thinking, I guess you could say.
How much do you have to pay? So with the market, I'm not really fully up to date with like the OC market right now, but if you've got a guy like Lashley, who's an up and comer at his age, he comes into a place like Miami, changes the entire freaking culture of the offense. Year one, either goes to battle with Clemson for 4 quarters or possibly beats them. How much money do we rightfully have to dish out to keep Lashley?
1 to 2 million.
I personally think you would have to give him, how much is Venables getting paid at Clemson?
2.5.
Yeah, we might have to, maybe not 2.5, but maybe like around the 1.7, 1.8 range. We would probably have to pony up, to be honest.
Defensive coordinators for some reason make more than offensive coordinators. I was looking it up. I don't know why. But Venables and Aranda were at that 2.5 area. So those are the best of the best.
So could Lashley rightfully could be right at that $2 million mark then? I mean, that's serious bread for Miami at offensive coordinator.
It depends how much Miami really wants to invest into football. It's already been shown. They invest more into their medical program. In a sense, yes, it is 100 times more important to find the cure of cancer. 100% agree. So they want to find, they want to be advanced in the medical field, and they've done an outstanding job. So that's where they're going to invest money into first, and then football is second. That's how the order goes.
I mean, the way I feel about it, though, is you wouldn't have this well-renowned medical program if it wasn't for the football team putting this university on the map. You feel me?
Right.
And you imagine if we have an elite year, best case scenario, maybe college football playoff. You know how much money that's going to bring into the school? Like, come on. Like, I'm going to be honest. Stop being cheap. You feel me? Like, pony up. You want to keep bringing in this money. Well, you got to pay the piper sometimes.
And hopefully Manny can, really make an impact on that. His voice will speak value, because I feel like Manny will, take a stand to keep Brett Lashley. So
winning brings in money. We know that. It brings in money. And as long as we keep winning, we're going to hopefully be able to have that money to compete with the rest of these guys, to keep the Rhett Lashleys of the worlds and the Garen Justices and stuff like that around and keep them happy. I mean, if we can keep this entire offensive unit, the coaching unit, for 3 years, we're going to be doing some kick-ass shit, guys. I mean, it's going to be freaking awesome.
No, I agree. We could keep, if possible, we could keep this staff for 3 years. I mean, this is kind of bold, but I'm going to go out with it. I think if that happens, we're going to at least make one college football playoff appearance. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm bold enough to say that, I think 1 or 2 appearances can definitely be possible. Because if, we're playing as good as we are now and it's our first year, imagine how this offense is going to look in year 2 and in year 3, And imagine the offensive line is only going to get better and better with more recruits that we're going to bring in as well. So I think the sky is absolutely the limit.
all right. Well, is it too early for a Miami Clemson score prediction?
Never.
It's never too early.
Never.
Should we wait to see how they do against Virginia,
You can.
or should we go straight to it?
Hey, Paul, before we forget too, that wide receiver that Virginia has, that freshman, that's a kid we got to watch out for. You made a notice of him. That kid is legit. 6'6", 6'5", 215 pounds.
Davis.
Can move, can jump.
Yeah.
We got to keep an eye on him.
Yep, very good. I mean, he was making their lefty quarterback look really good.
Honestly, for me, I think a few things that we're going to be able to take advantage of is, the one thing that stands out is that their safety play isn't that good, to be honest with you. They have a 5th-year senior. I can't remember his name. I think his last name is Turner. He's not that good. Their corners, I think Kendrick, he's pretty good. But opposite to him, I don't know who the guy – I think Andrew Booth is the opposite corner to Deion Kendrick. He's not that good. I'm going to be honest with you, fellas. We're going to have chances to, offensively make some plays. The question for me is whether the defense could just hold enough. Like, look, like instead of giving up 7, if you give up 3, if we can do that, I feel like we'll have a good chance to take it all the way.
Limit turnovers and limit them. Any possible chance you can get is the only way you're going to beat Clemson. You have to take advantage of anything, literally anything they will give you. If you don't take advantage of it, they'll turn it on you eventually in the second half, and your chance is lost.
100%.
I'm gonna give you a score prediction, even though I don't really want to, right? Because, but look, the way we've played, right? I mean, I'm not gonna pick against the guys, right? I mean, I'm respectful of Clemson, right? As the number 1 program in the nation, but I'm still gonna pick my boys to win the game, right? Because it's only rightful, and I think they've earned that with the way they've played. So I'm gonna say Miami 33, Clemson 30. You heard it here first.
Love it. Anybody else want to dare to do a prediction?
I'm not as bold as that one yet. I still got Clemson up on us, but if all I know is right now, if we can stay within 10 points on that game, we're in the right direction. No matter even win or loss, we're going the right way.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm feeling good about our chances, but I'm with Ross a little bit here. I kind of want to see how they look against Virginia, and I want to, review the game film, see how they do. But right now, if I would have to tell you where I'm leaning, I think that we can take them in a close game. Probably,
Boom.
A 3-point type of game, like how you mentioned. It would probably go down to the wire, but I feel like we can definitely play with them. And if we play to the best of our abilities, I feel like there's a great chance that we can win that game. And at the end of the day, it comes down to mentality. If we go in there with the right mentality, saying that, hey, you know what? They're the number 1 team in the country, but Miami back in the day, guess what they did? They used to beat the number 1 team in the country wherever, whenever it would be. And if we have that mentality, I think we could definitely do it. But talk to me in a week, and I'll give a solid prediction on that.
All right. Well, Ryan, Caleb, Ross, thank you everyone for joining.
Paul, what's your prediction, man?
Oh man, no.
Come on now. Come on.
I got honestly, I want to see how they do against Virginia. I felt like they easily manhandled Wake Forest. I don't think they're a bad team, Wake Forest. Clemson made them look bad. Obviously, it's the Citadel. You're supposed to beat the Citadel by a lot. Right now, I mean, I can see Clemson winning by 10 points against Miami. Trevor Lawrence, he's the best quarterback in the nation, arguably. Listen, our cornerbacks have had tons of problems in the past. I still need to see consistent play. That's the key. Week in and week out, consistent play. Yeah, DJ Ivy had a great 2 games after UAB. Awesome, man. Well, guess what? Let's see how you do against the best of the best, buddy. This is the big boys. This is the elites of the elites. We've been on not even the outside, looking in, all right? It's time to pony up. How are we going to do with the big boys? We're 8 in the nation. Is this a real number 8 team in the nation, or is this another fluke number 8 team in the nation? So right now, I think Clemson can easily win by 10. I got to see how they do against Virginia. I got them winning 35-25 as of right now. Let's see how they do against Virginia, and then we'll see what happens moving forward. But, man, we got to fix up a lot of penalties, too many chunk plays allowed, and cornerback play, man. It's a question. It's a huge question mark for me against Trevor Lawrence. And our offensive line as well. We're facing against a good defensive line. How are they going to play? Is Derek King going to have to run for his life? How many sacks are they going to give up? So there's so many questions, man. And our wide receivers need to make plays. You cannot drop passes, to move the chains. Okay, we need that to happen.
One thing that I'll point in is that what y'all mentioned earlier, I mean, Ivy knows Ladson pretty well. So, I mean, I know it's been a few years removed that they were teammates, but if there's one guy that I feel like, hey, you should be confident against, I mean, look, you practice day in and day out against this guy. So You should know him pretty well. So that's one thing that might help us. And another thing is, I'm going to be honest, outside of Ladson, I mean, they don't really have any, really elite people that I'm like, oh, my goodness, I'm afraid of. Like, Nagata's pretty good. He hasn't done much. Amari Rogers is a midget. I mean, but then again, who knows what can happen there? Their tight end isn't that good. The only person I think that's going to do really good against us is Travis Etienne, and that's because, he's a stud.
Do you guys notice what just happened here, though? I just noticed something beautiful. We're a bunch of Miami Hurricanes on here, and we're beating our chest talking about Clemson. It's about damn time. We're not sitting here scared. We're not saying, oh, no, can we see him 2 weeks from now? We're beating our damn chest, and we're saying, let's go. We got the team. We're ready to play you guys.
I'm just glad they're not wearing orange pants on Saturday for us.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's a wrap. Ryan, Caleb, Ross, thank you so much for joining Miami Hurricanes After Dark tonight, man. It's always a pleasure, guys. Take care. Always.
Yes, sir.
Up to you.